question I want to ask is that the Hajj Commission, is it a partially or fully funded MDA agency? Yeah. Are you partially or fully funded?
It's partially funded, sir.
By who and who?
By the federal government, and the pilgrims fund their Hajj.
That's not funding the activity of the Hajj Commission itself. Going to Hajj is a different ball game altogether. Please off your mic, please. Going to Hajj is a different ball game altogether. It's a process, right? So that's a different ball game. We're talking about fully funded by the federal government. Your activities, is it fully funded by the federal government or partially funded? Apart from the Hajj, forget about the Hajj. Do you generate money elsewhere apart from federal government funding you? That's what.
I think what my colleague is trying to clarify to you, which you're not understanding, is this. Your overhead, who funds it? Your running costs for your office and everything, who funds it? That's what he's trying to get clear. Is it federal government, or are you getting funds from anywhere else, or are you getting a percentage of the pilgrimage funds or payments? That's what he's trying to clarify from you.
Honorable members, sirs, we are partially funded. Prior to 2015, government used to sponsor Hajj. Sponsoring Hajj has to do with sponsoring all the officials. Could be the NACON staff, the medical team, the ulama, and all those that guide pilgrims. But within 2015, government stopped sponsoring Hajj. Government paid our salary, that is the personnel cost, and little overhead costs for days-to-days running. But all other activities that has to do on and offshore relating to Hajj, government is not sponsoring. It is from the little revenue we are getting from the sales of forms for tour operators that will normally sponsor all officials that travel, including the medical.
So basically, sir, what you're saying is this. All your salaries are paid by government.
Yes.
Government bears the cost of all your salaries.
Yes.
That's 100% funded by government. Your overhead is 100% funded by government, because you say that the little, but it's all your overhead is given to you by government, isn't it?
Yes.
So you are totally funded by government.
Sir, the mandate of the commission is to organize the movement of pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia, which is capital intensive. Before
that's not the issue.
Listen,
you know there are, what's your designation?
Director of Admin.
Director of Admin. You are aware of categorization of fully funded and self-funded and partially funded. You know the categorization by government.
Yes.
You are aware.
Yes.
Yours is what? That's the question.
I say partially funded.
No, you can't be partially funded if government pays all your capital.
Not all. I don't know when last we are even giving capital allocation. You need zero.
No, it's not about releases. PS Finance. I hope you understand what we talked about on them. Where do they belong? Do you have that information?
I don't have the information precisely. I was still asking. Okay, I was still trying to ask the director cash management. He was also trying to see how we are paying them, because I was not seeing any salary scheduled belonging to
I think they are
fully.
fully.
He is saying that we are paying them through the office of the secretary to the government of the federation.
Yes, they are fully funded, because your counterpart in the Christian Commission is also a fully funded government agency. So you belong to the fully funded agency. Well, I don't know. Did we resolve these differences? Oh, okay. So, Honorable Akiba.
Thank you, Chairman. Commission. Excuse me. Let me say that, man. Yeah, Commissioner. When the question was raised on the issue of disparity between your submission and Remita year by year. There's a particular year you reported that it's nothing, but Remita said you had this. And then your answers to that was that most of those funds came in as capital fund for the commission. That's the answer. Can you
as what? As capital fund?
Yes, as running fund, as capital fund for the commission. That's the answer that they gave us.
Was that your answer? Who gave the answer?
Yes. When the chairman asked.
No, hello, sir. Uncle?
Oh.
Hello? Head of
He gave.
Are you the one that gave the answer?
Yes.
The gentleman in the cap? Okay, yeah. So what's the explanation again? Can you bring it up?
Okay, let's turn to page 7. Page 7 of the document. On the 5th of May, 2 billion was released to National Hajj Commission for the augmentation of the Hajj house. You can see that
of which year?
Of 2017.
2 billion was released by the federal government.
Yes.
As augmentation for the Hajj exercise.
No, for the purchase of the headquarter building.
Yeah, so you assume that that is the money captured here by Remita?
Yes. Yes.
Is that, how possible is that? That's not possible. That would be a government release. That would be a government release from the Accountant General to your office. Sir. This one has to do with payments using the Remita platform through banks.
Sir, what is very clear is that funds are released through Remita platform. Capital funds are released through Remita platforms. That is what we are saying. That is the point we are making. Capital funds are released through Remita platform.
DFA,
that is the point we are making.
DFA, please understand why we are here. If you understand why we are here, it will be easy for you to answer these questions. We are here to look at revenue gaps, revenue leakages. We are not here about capital releases. Are you following me? Now you have said, okay, your application fee, all your fees, they are here. That is your position. Those are the things you have collected. Are you following me? These are the things you have collected. We are now saying that all these things, gentlemen, please let us have a meeting. When you understand why we are here, we are looking at revenue leakages. You have told us that your position, which means what you have been able to receive from your people, is as per this, your position here. Now the Remita position is that, come, you have gotten this one. How much have you remitted to Remita? That's why we are here. So that we don't look at, we have seen here that the total now, 16 billion naira, I mean, is it 16 million or so? Your position 16?
Which year?
No, the total.
The total for?
The total for that composition, their position.
16.6. 16 million 616,314 naira 50 kobo.
16 million. Now the Remita position is
4 billion,
which means clearly we don't understand why we are talking of Remita position. Remita position is what gets to government in terms of revenue, not what comes to you as capital. No, what goes to government that enters the TSA account through Remita. That's what we want to know, so that at the end of the day we'll be able to compare what gets to Remita and what gets to you at the end of the day, so that we can look at the leakages.
That is the point
but
I'm making.
You understand it clearly now. But to say that Remita position is 4 billion and your own is 16 billion, which means you don't understand what we're talking about.
Where's Remita here? Remita was here yesterday.
What the point we are trying to establish here is that this 4 billion reported by Remita cannot be revenue.
That is what we are saying. This 4 billion that has been reported by Remita, the point we are saying is that we are making is that cannot be revenue.
But they are claiming that it's revenue.
They are claiming that it is revenue. How do they arrive at that? It cannot be revenue. There is no how.
That's what we need. For us,
In our, by our, we submitted to you what we have by our records. So if that is it. So if Remita can, if Remita can convince us how they arrive at this 4 point something billion.
It's out here.
Mr. Project Chairman, sir.
Please.
yes, what do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it, sir?
We just want to say that.
Because we are here supporting every youth.
Yes. To say that the Remital account is not only for revenue, it's both revenue and payments. And if there is partially funded MDA, they should have their own also sub TSA that they pay whatever revenue they collect into it. Yes. Yes.
Let's get something clear here. I want you to clarify between, let the NACON understand that Remita doesn't have access to the money paid. They don't even know how you operate your heads and sub-heads. Anything that had to do with any release from the CBN is through the Accountant General to their sub-head, their TSA sub-head. But the DFA is insisting that Remita, they pay them through Remita, which is not possible.
Remita is a gateway for...
It's just a gateway to receive revenue for the government.
Yes. What we are trying to, the system that we are trying to put in place now is a robust one that will enable even revenue code to be seen when the money gets into the CSA. Revenue code will be there as well, and we are also trying to make sure that even the billing will be electronically generated, so that you pay exactly what you are supposed to pay.
Thank you, PS. Yes, we identify that. Because I don't want us to spend too much time on this issue. Pilgrims Welfare Board, I'm sorry, National Hajj Commission. How old is the head of finance? How old are you in the establishment? 1 year. All right. You may need to find time to really study your processes well, because there's an answer that solves one of the questions for you, but it appears that you are not aware. Because when the Christian Commission came, a similar issue arose, and we discovered from the documents we have with us here that what constitutes those extra money were monies paid by state governments through you for the Hajj exercise. I don't know whether you understand me. So contrary to what the other man was saying, that they want capital release, that capital release won't go into this account. So we have here, for example, the Kaduna State Pilgrims Welfare, Kaduna State Pilgrims Board. Where is it? Kaduna State Pilgrims Welfare Board paid you 500 million naira on 4 different occasions, which will come to 2 billion naira. So that accounts for the difference you have in those figures, but you are not aware. So please, I'm just advising, you need to really sit down and understand the place better. Maybe you have not had time in the last 1 year to understand how your accounting processes work, so that because we offered you that free consultancy. If you go elsewhere, they may not come through for you like that. You understand what I'm saying? But where you will have an issue now is where your own audited statement of account do not even tally with the figures that you provide for us. And then I've also been reliably informed that you're actually a partially funded agency. So you don't belong to the fully funded, you are partially funded. So you are correct, sir. You are correct, sir. So apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir. Apologies, please. So you're actually a partially funded, which means you're allowed to operate some accounts and to fund some of your own, expenditure. So we obviously need to have a form of a reconciliation so that we can get all the facts and the figures right. But let me ask the chairman, if you are to make a suggestion on how we can increase the revenue we also get through your commission, what suggestion will you be giving? Nigeria is passing through a very tough time. We are operating a budget deficit of trillions of naira. We are paying huge debts. For every 100 naira we earn, we use about 40 naira to pay debts. These are very trying times for us as a country, and we need to bring in more revenue from all sources. I'm sure the PS Finance will be happy about this.
Mr. Chairman, if only wishes were horses. It's really a difficult one, but I can't overlook your patriotism in pushing the question. And let me attempt to offer some suggestions. Fundamentally, as we speak, Mr. Chairman, our reliance has been on the tax that the pilgrims pay. We try to get some service charges from the services we offer to them, which ordinarily, Mr. Chairman, we wouldn't want to do.
Why? Why wouldn't you want to do it?
Mr. Chairman, more than 80% of pilgrims are not only struggling peasants.
Struggling?
True, Mr. Chairman. I chose the word advisedly, Mr. Chairman. Let me explain further. You find farmers and herders that would have been collecting monies for over a decade. Their hope and their wish is just to perform Hajj as one of the pillars of the religion. And here you are asking them to submit when you must have
Mr.
calculated.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry, no, just a moment, because I don't want us to. The line you are going will lead to a lot of issues. We just removed subsidy on petroleum products. Why should we subsidize pilgrimage to Jerusalem and Hajj?
Mr. Chairman,
we just removed subsidy from petroleum products, which is even a very. Why should we subsidize pilgrimage to Jerusalem and to Hajj?
Mr. Chairman, we are not suggesting that, and I don't think I'm the right person to answer the question. But let me then go straight to what you asked me to do.
Yes.
In terms of my opinion. What I inherited on my assumption is there was the innovation to convert some of the property of the commission, because you know they have Hajj camps spread across the country. Some of them were acquired more than 2-3 decades ago, and they are placed on vast land area. They came in with a concept of a PPP, which went through the normal processes, ICRC, Federal Executive Council, and they came up with a structure that had approved that. And I think there are some pilot projects that they have commenced. My intention is, God permitting, if I'm there, to see how we can crystallize that and make sure that we institutionalize it as much as possible. The other thing is, may not be too popular, but it's in the act, and I'm trying to see that at least going forward, we become more organized and planned. It is called the Hajj Savings Scheme. Some of the nations of the world, like Malaysia, Indonesia, Turkey also, had been on it for the past 5 decades, where they encourage intending pilgrims to start depositing their amount. And of course, through the Islamic system, the banks trade with the monies based on understanding and some parameters. They end up smiling too with some of the profits that would have gotten out of it, and then they wait for their turn to do it. The intention is 10 years from today, an average Malaysian knows when he's performing pilgrimage. So is an Indonesian, based on that plan. So perhaps from that and the takes, we will now insist that maybe the commission too is considered when you come to consider the profits that will go to the person that dropped and the person that would have suggested. So these are some two ways that we're trying to push to see that.
Very great initiative, and I pray that those initiatives will see the light of the day. Can we move on to, so we'll communicate you on the reconciliation on this with the Remita submissions, and then you are in default of the audited account for 2 years. For 2 years. It's a major infraction. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
It's a very, very major infraction. You are supposed to submit your audited account timely. In actual fact, by the end of March of the succeeding year, you should provide us, by now, you should have almost concluded your 2023 account, so that by the end of March 2024, you will have submitted. So we'll come to all those. Let's go to the Auditor General's report 2019. The Hajj Commission appeared on this matter on the 18th of November 2023. Can you let us have the issues? Auditor General.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Commission, they are having two issues. Issue number one, all retired personal advances totaling 98,077,200 naira. Paragraph 1405 of the Financial Regulation FR states, accounting officers are responsible for ensuring the prompt payment of all advances.
Please make this thing a little bolder, Glory. Yes, go ahead.
Of all advances by installments or otherwise. Furthermore, paragraph 1420 of the FR states, it is the responsibility of all accounting officers to ensure that all advances granted to officers.
We are still on issue one, Madam. Go ahead, Auditor. I'm talking to the person. I said make it bolder, bolder.
Audit observe. 1. Personal advances totaling 98,077,200 naira granted to officers of the Commission between 1st January and 31st December 2018 were yet to be retired as at 31st December 2018, contrary to the provision of the extant regulations. And 2, some of the officers were granted multiple advances when previous ones had not been retired. The response of the management was all personal advances that were outstanding have been duly retired in the following months of the year, and that the delay in the retirement of some of the advances, mostly in December, was due to spillover of some of the programs to the following month, which fell into the new financial year. And the office recommends that it should furnish reasons why advances granted to staff were not retired as required by extant regulation. 2, to recover the same sum of amount and remit same to the Treasury. 3, they should forward evidence of that remittance to this August committee. And 4, otherwise, the sanctions related to failure to recover advances and non-retirement of advances specified in paragraphs 3118 and 3124 of the financial regulations, respectively.
Let's take the two together. So go ahead and read the second one too.
Issue number 2. Payment of unapproved irregular allowances to staff totaling 376,577,913 naira 92 kobo. The National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, circular reference number SWC/S/04/S.100/11/403, dated 18 January 2007, stipulates that the items consolidated with the basic salary are transport allowances, rent, meal subsidy, utility leave grant, among others. Also, paragraph 415 of Financial Regulation states, the federal government requires all officers responsible for expenditure to exercise due economy. Money must not be spent merely because it has been voted. Audit observe. 1, the sum of that amount I've stated earlier was paid to staff of the Commission as peculiar allowances and telephone allowances outside the IPPS consolidated salary structure. And 2, approvals of the above payment from National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission were not made available for examination. And the responses of the commission, the allowances were duly approved by the National Salary, Income and Wages Commission. Office now recommend as follows. 1, that they should provide reason for allowances paid to staff without approval by relevant authorities. 2, to recover the same sum of money stated above. 3, to forward evidence of remittance to this August committee. And last but not the least, otherwise, apply sanctions related to irregular payment and overpayment of public funds stated in paragraph 3106 and 311 of financial regulations, respectively.
Chairman and your team, those are the 2 queries by the Auditor General for the Federation. Your responses?
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, regarding the first query, all the unretired advances as contained in our submission have now been retired accordingly, and the evidence of retirement have been attached in the submission.
When is an advance supposed to be retired?
At the end
by
of
the regulation?
At the end of accounting year.
Is that correct? Is an advance retirable at the end of the accounting year?
It depends on the nature of advance.
Yes, explain, speak to it.
Advances, there are personal advances and there are special advances.
Okay.
Special advances can be for programs or projects. So if advance is a special, if it is a special advance, it can span for as long as the project lasts. So most of these advances are special advances.
So a personal advance given in January will be retired could be retired by November. Is that correct?
No, these are actually special advances because these
they are project advances.
These are project advances.
The ones covered by these.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So they were supposed to be retired when, in particular?
At the expiration of the program.
Okay. So by the time the auditor came to you, were the programs still ongoing?
No, the retirements were made, but it wasn't in that particular year because the auditors were after January to December. You know, some years, some projects can spill off to the following year.
The question is, when the auditors came, were the retirement due to have been made?
Yes, they were.
But were they made as at that time?
Some of them were due to be made, and some of them were not.
Remember, you are on oath, please, and I want you to be very well guided. I don't want you to, please be very, very well guided.
That is it.
You want to speak? All right.
So, like just what the DFF have said, there were some special advances within that period. Agree that also within that same period, there were some few personal advances that were not retired. And then in 2019...
Head of Finance, did you hear him now?
Yes, sir. There were few personal advances.
There were personal advances in the mix,
yes, sir,
of that sum.
Yes, sir. You know, some advances were granted in January. And
all
then
right.
In some of the vote, the commission were asked to split it over to the next year. So most of that were not retired at that period. And then in 2019, that was the beginning of COVID, sir. 2019, 2020, and 2021. Though that shouldn't have stopped.
Do you agree that there was a violation of the extant financial regulation on this matter?
Yes, sir, on few cases, sir. And I want to register our sincere apology on that, sir. And that has been taken care of by the new chairman, who insisted that once you are given an advance within that same period, you should retire it. So we have taken note and taken correction on that as well.
You're welcome, ma'am. I've had you. I'm meeting you for the first time. And you spoke like a leader. You spoke like a leader, and I must commend that. Before you came, I had something against you, and I will say it now. When you wanted to travel out with Mr. President, you called me and asked that I grant you the leave to be absent at that hearing. That was around November. And I expected that when you came back, you should have reached out to me. And we didn't hear anything again from you. And I felt that wasn't good enough. But having listened to you for about 30 minutes today, I can see someone who is ready to lead a change in that commission. And when I see anyone, when we see anyone that is ready to lead a change, we always want to support you with all that we have. And I can give you that assurance on behalf of the House of Representatives, not just this committee, that will give you all that you need to make necessary reforms and lead a change in that commission in a manner that will also make us globally competitive, you know, when it comes to Hajj operations. So I want to commend you, and I pray that God Almighty, the Almighty Allah, will grant you good success in your new assignment. And I thank members of your team. That's without prejudice to whatever decision we're reaching on this matter, which will be communicated to you. So once again, thank you for coming, and you can take your leave for now.
Yes, sir.